All right, guys, we're back with Celestial Light with all 40 cards. So this is going to be a lot harder, and basically anything that's not standard quality is probably going to get cut because that's just how this deck is going to work. Um, there are so many things here. So many things. I don't believe we're running an Archon. I think he was removed from the game. Yes, he was removed. So was the Chastise, just because they cost a whole lot. Um, but as you can see, extra cards like the pretty foily Baneslayer and extra cards like the pretty foily Beacon of Immortality um, have been unlocked. So I need to get rid of two more cards. This should be relatively easy. I think it'd probably be these White Sun Zeniths. Um, Simply because, I mean, they are bombs. It's just, we just unlocked another Baneslayer Angel. And we unlocked a Marshal's Anthem, which returns Baneslayer Angels. And we unlocked another Sierra Ascendant. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been unlocked that are just broken. So, let's get rid of two things that aren't creatures. I mean, it's a good way to recover after a Wrath, but I haven't seen any Wrath effects yet. Going through the decks. I mean, Audrix has the uh, Chastise or whatever it is. Not Chastise. That's this card's Chastise, isn't it? Yeah, that's for Chastise. The card that destroys all non-white creatures, whatever it is. But I mean, these guys are white, so I mean that's really the only board wipe. But so is our entire deck. Our entire deck is white. So probably either these or these. But I like these guys because they're flying. Um, we don't have a whole lot of flyers other than the Slith Ascendant. And he is 3 mana, not 4, which makes him a whole lot better because he is a flying 1/1 for 3 that hits someone and becomes a 2, hits someone becomes a 3, hits someone becomes a 4. And if you're playing cards like Marshal's Anthem, he can be bigger the next turn that he's played and things like that. And again, you just need a flying presence on the field, I feel like. So maybe the White Suns, and that lowers the mana curve a little bit, because technically they're 4. I think they're probably under the 3 category. We do have a lot of 1-drops, though, which kind of concerns me, but they're all really solid 1-drops. And, I mean, it's a Johnny's deck. You want to play something turn 1. You want to play something turn 2. You want to play something turn 3. And, I mean, these are good late games. So maybe we'll go back down to 1. Um, and instead of let's say we'll get rid of one of the Sky Guards. So we play it. No, no, nope. Say if we already cut one, I don't want to cut another one. Um, but I did this all yesterday for the M13 release with a whole bunch of different people's decks and made a whole bunch of decks better. My pool was terrible, but I still went 3-1. So, you know how to play cards. I played green blue and then switched to blue black later. Um, Both my green and my blue were relatively the same pool as far as power goes. Black had more discard, green had more kill, so it was just a messed up kind of pool. But let's see here. Um, I mean, you really want that to be really high, and I feel like the game's gonna go out really long, but you don't need it to. I mean, naturally you're gonna have like 10 mana, but even 10 mana here puts out 7/2/2s, and that's 10 mana for 7/2/2s, which is probably worth it. But if you pay 5 mana for 2/2/2s, not worth it. 6 mana for 3/2/2s, you're getting a little bit more. So it's got to be at least 6 mana that it's worth it, and we really don't want that many high cost stuff. So that's probably what that one's going to look like. We'll be back with Pack Instinct in just a minute. All right, guys, so we're back, and I was looking at the cards that get unlocked with this, and it changes the entire feel of the deck. Um, and I'll explain why it changes the entire feel of the deck. Um, Simply because Dungrove Elder is something worth putting a Lightning Greaves on, because you can go turn 1, nothing, turn 2, Lightning Greaves, turn 3, him. Again, I don't feel like that's what the deck wants to do, but if you're running Lightning Greaves, he's an absolute must-have. Not that he's not a must-have anyway, because, you're running 1,000 Forest. So this deck becomes a whole lot harder to deal with now in, talking, because this card's really good. I mean, he's a solid 2-drop, which is what we were missing. I really don't like cutting all of these guys, but we also have 10 cards to play on turn 2, which is probably not going to be them. We want the bigger stuff. So, um, keeping with my gigantic creature feeling, uh, this is not a turn 5, turn 6 card. This is a turn 10 card when you're going to go reveal the top 7 and put in everything with converted mana cost 7 or less. So, there's some very, 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 very solid cards that are unlocked in this deck. Very solid cards that are unlocked in this deck. This is not one of them. So, we've got 2 more really big cost cards, and I feel like that's these 2 Howl the Night packs. Just because they're 2/2s, and there's a lot of them, they're hard to deal with. They give you a lot of chump blockers, but he costs the same amount of mana and puts out a bunch of chump blockers that can become much, 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 much bigger than 2/2s. So if he's played right, he's better than the Howl the Night pack. And the Vorapede is just 5 mana for a 5/4 Vigilance Trample Undying. Ridiculous. So we've got to get rid of 3 more cards. Obstinate Baloth is amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. This breaks Liliana. If you were, if an opponent controls, make you discard. So she drops Liliana's Spectre, and you're like, oh, hey, I have to discard a card. Discard Obstinate Baloth, and boom, he's on the field. Very good. Very, 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 very good. We have a lot more early game presence now. But I am not a fan of 2 Primordial Hydras. I like the one of, and even the one of is just kind of iffy. I mean, he might be the card that I take out because that'll put us at 8 2-drops, which is a lot more realistic in this type of deck than a 1/6 of our deck, or a 10% of our deck being, it's already 10% of our deck being 2-drops. Sorry, math in my head just isn't working at the moment. But I do like the Primordial Hydra. He does have the potential to become very big, very quickly. Even if there's only 1 counter on him, you double it, you put 2, you double it, you put 4, you double it, you put 8, you double it, you put 16, and he becomes a monster. So even as a 3-drop, he's really strong. He's not ideal as a 3-drop, but I mean, we'll say he's a 5-drop. 3-drops are these guys, and the Dungrove, and the Cultivate. Now that we removed the Howl the Night pack, and we've removed a lot of the Garruk's Companions, I think I'm going to get rid of the Fangorn Firstborns, just because we don't have the creature presence that the original deck did. Now, I mean, obviously you can build the deck so that you're like, okay, well, we're going super small creature. I'm going to put big things on small creatures and make them count and do damage that way. And put out a whole bunch of tokens and Fangorn and Firstborn and just rape people. Not how I would play it. But it's up to you. There is 1 more card that we have to get rid of, and this card I feel is underwhelming, but at the same time very powerful. Plus, every creature you get gets +3/+3, and everything your opponent has to block this turn, which is a good way to deal with Audric's deck. Or the Exalted deck. The Exalted deck only likes to attack with one creature and keep back a whole bunch of Exalted things. So this basically deals with that. So I feel like that's good against two decks. We don't want to get rid of it. Chameleon Colossus is a lot of fun. Would never suggest getting rid of that. This is another card that was unlocked as incremental growth. It's just, again, I don't feel like that's our goal. So is the Verdant Force. Now, that's at the beginning of both upkeep, so he is very playable. It's just he's just a 7/7. Aside from that, he doesn't have trample, so you can't really deal with anything there. So let's look at what we'd want to get rid of. I think keeping one Primordial Hydra in is probably our best call. That's the new deck. Now, we'll go through it real slow for you guys. I don't think I did that with the Johnny's, but the reason I'm only playing one of him is we still have two drop creatures, so that if we don't have our Mana Excel, that does give us a little bit better odds now that a good percentage of the deck is 2 drops to do something on turn 2. And he is a 2-drop, and he's a very solid 2-drop. I mean, obviously you want to play him on turn 3 before you drop a land, but whatever. So that's what the deck looks like. If you have any comments, anything you want to add, like I said, now that there's 40 cards that you can play a very different deck than this. You can play the Primordial Hydras, the Lightning Greaves, the Garruk's Companions, with the Fangrene Firstborns. You can play it with the Ant Queens, and the Howls of the Night Pack, and we still have one Primal Crux in. Okay. The Howl of the Night Pack, and him. And that would give you an entirely different feel to the deck, and it would give you a lot more board presence and the ability to give your creatures that just came out haste, and the Fangrene just be able to make bigger creatures better, faster. So I mean, there's that option for the deck as well. Again, I would play this as I always have, turn 1 dude, preferably. You don't really have 1-drops. They're Fog. Turn 2, Medallion or Nature's Lore. Turn 3 would be Cultivate, ideally, or Dungrove Elder. And then turn 4 or 5, you're dropping something like Vorpede or Primal Crux or Primeval Titan. Something big like that, big scary. And then, proceeding to drop these cards, this section of the deck, 5 and 6. So, again, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you've been playing it, and if you like the video, please leave a like, a comment, or subscribe, and I will see you guys later.